Melanie.
Okay, you're all set, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Melanie, for introducing the workshop and me. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to partner with Next Group to bring these really fantastic, I think they're fun topics to all of you. So I hope you find this to be interesting and useful in your life and career. I went through this training to become certified to do the Design Your Life and Career, and I just found it to be so fascinating. And I hope you do as well. If we have any engineers in the audience tonight, you might be familiar with some of these topics, or any product designers. It's a way to really think about designing through principles that have been used to design products, services, all different kinds of things, and to really think about them and using it in your life. So everyone's favorite topic is yourself. So I think it becomes even more fascinating when you apply it to your life and career. So with that, just thank you all for joining tonight. As Melanie said, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll monitor that. If you feel like you'd like to take yourself off mute and ask a question, we'll try to do that, try to address those as well. We are going to jump right in because today our first part is only 45 minutes. So we're going to wrap up by 7:15. So we're going to move pretty quickly, but I have time allotted for all of you to spend a little time going through these principles and thinking about the different topics. So today, what we're going to do is using design thinking to address the wicked problems of designing your life and career. And this is from, if anybody has read the Design Your Life book, we'll talk a little bit about how all of that ties together. But it's really, if anybody cares to purchase that book, you don't have to. You actually, there are a lot of materials available online for free. So feel free to just Google Design Your Life, and the founders of this program, and really all the principles that align with it are available to you. But you can also buy the book. It's a quick read and it's pretty interesting. So just giving you some additional resources if you'd like. So today we're going to just go through a few exercises. I'll introduce some design thinking principles, and I think there will be some fun exercises for you. So this is our agenda for today. We're going through the welcome and landing. Our first activity will be a quick doodle, and then we have a paperclip activity, some intro to design thinking, and we'll wrap today up with an energy map. So here are the outcomes. For all of you who have signed up, you probably have seen those. And these are the materials. So pretty simple. Just a few sheets of paper. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you have a journal, if you take some of these workshops or do just some professional development and have a journal, you can feel free to taking notes there. And a writing utensil, if you have some colored pens or pencils nearby, feel free to bring those with as we do some of our activities, but certainly not required. Melanie, did you want to do the poll right now, just as we start to kick off? Just a few questions for all of you. And so I'm curious, from an audience perspective, how familiar are you with design thinking principles? I feel like I used to hear this. People would say, oh, we want someone with a design thinking background when I would recruit. And I had to hurry up and Google, what is design thinking? But I found that it's a fun way of saying people who have experience really thinking broadly and using some of these design principles in their work. And it can be applied to almost any area, especially engineering, but marketing, the product design, but really anything. If you're in communications and you're thinking about reaching a new audience, this is helpful for you. If you are in any kind of functional area, there absolutely would be ways to apply all of this. And today we're really going to be talking about how to apply it to you. Okay. All right. So we're seeing that most people have no idea what I'm talking about, which I can tell you, when I first heard the term years ago, design thinking, I was in the same boat. So it's if you just Google it quickly, it's very kind of intuitive. And then some people have heard about it. And then some people, we do have 7% that love design thinking. So welcome to all of you tonight. Okay. I don't know. Okay, so I shared the results, Melanie, so everyone can see that. Okay, so there we go. we'll stop sharing that and we'll move on. So if you have all of your materials ready, we are going to jump into just hearing a little bit more about design thinking. So these are just some quotes that you would see if you started to Google. And this is specifically from Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, who really came up with Design Your Life, but using the design thinking principles that they used while they were engineering professors. Dave is at Berkeley, and Bill Burnett is at Stanford. I believe they're both still there. And so they would share the quote, inviting people to navigate life's ambiguity and design lives and careers full of joy and meaning through design thinking. And the way that they came up with this was early in the 2000s, about 2005, 2006. Bill Burnett started noticing that some of his students were, while they were engineering students and brilliant and top of their game, they were having trouble launching. He just started to notice. He had been a professor for several years, started, I think, being teaching at Stanford in the 90s. And he had just noticed a bit of a trend of these students coming out with this great skill set, but not really understanding how to apply it to their lives. And I think we can all relate to that. I know there are times where I felt stuck. I certainly have seen people in my life feel a little bit stuck and thinking about where do I want to go? How do I use the skills I have? What skills do I maybe want to continue building? And ultimately, how do I design a life that speaks to me, feels like it's connected to my values, my purpose, and something I'd enjoy? And so they thought, I bet there's a way we could use some of these engineering principles to really design people's lives. And they got a few students in a lab, just came up with some, as engineers do, some great exercises and prototyped it. And what they found is that the students wanted more. And so they came up with a course and offered it just open enrollment, and it became the most popular course. And so clearly they struck a chord, and not only for students at Stanford and Berkeley, but they started to see that this is something that really could be broadly shared, and really Design Your Life was born from that. So I don't know if you're inspired by that story, but I still, when I hear it or think about it, I still think it's really cool. So today we're going to spend a little time doing that. Okay. So right now we're gonna put you right to work and start to open your minds and using design thinking as in your own life. So just take out a nice quick sheet of paper, a pen, pencil, whatever you have handy. And I'll keep time just for about a minute, minute and a half. It's just, and I would like for you to sketch. So don't write the words, just when we sketch, sometimes we're leveraging different parts of our brain. So just sketch, allow yourself to be creative. Some of you might be artists, some of you might not be. A stick figure is completely fine. So as fast as you can, just sketch out, what did you want to be when you were 10 years old? Take yourself back, 10 years old, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth grade. And what were you telling people when they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? So just take a moment to do that, and I'll just keep time. Okay, just about 10 more seconds. Okay, so your sketch does not have to be perfect. It's also a piece of, just embracing, um, moving forward without feeling like it has to be perfect. Um, and if you're okay with this, and I want to give some ground rules for how we'll engage tonight as a group. I'll call on a couple people, and I'm just going to call on people at random. And I invite you to say pass. If you are just feeling like you're not open to sharing right now, maybe you just came tonight and are very much in an observational mood and don't feel like sharing, I am completely fine with that. So please do not feel like I'm putting anyone on the spot. I just like for the audience to share, to get some other voices in here. So um, I'm just going to pull Sunny Russell. If you are open to sharing, you can hold your picture up close to your camera if you're okay with that, or you can just describe it. So, what did
Oh
you want to
gosh.
be?
Okay, this is a really silly picture, but I wanted to be a teacher.
Um, and are you a teacher?
I am not, but I do work in education.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing, Sunny. Okay, I'm
You're
just going to
welcome.
go down one or two more. Okay. Um, Rebecca Weinstein, are you open to sharing?
Sure. I don't know if you can see my little, I might have to turn off my,
That's okay. I know the
uh,
blurring of the camera is tough.
um, oh man, sorry.
That's okay.
Here's my little drawing. I don't know if it'll focus on there. My little character, but I said I wanted to be a Broadway star when I was 10.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So the art of performance. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, Sunny and Rebecca. So I like this activity because it takes us back and it allows us to think about a time when we didn't really have all of the restrictions around us that we might have today. So going back to that child, and you might still be there, might still have some pieces of what you might want to do. So thank you for sharing. Okay. Um, so just I'll give you a little reflection time here, just about a moment. And I'd like for you to just take a few minutes to jot down some of your thoughts to these prompts. What are your aspirations in your career now? And if someone were to ask you today, what do you want to be when you grow up? What would that response be? And here are a few other prompts for some thoughts. So what inspired you to move into your current or your most recent role? If you're not in a role today or you don't really love your role today, maybe think about a recent role that you did enjoy. What inspired you to move into that role? And then what are the top two things that you're getting out of your role currently, or what did you get out of your most recent role? So I'll just give you just a moment, just some reflection time and space for you to reflect. So again, I'll keep time in just a moment for you to jot down some thoughts. Okay, and just about 10 more seconds to wrap up any notes you may want to take here to continue to reflect at a later point. Okay, fantastic. Okay. I like just bringing us back to thinking, kind of opening your mind up and not always focusing on the present, but taking yourself back a little bit and thinking about where you may have wanted to go and how are you working toward that today? Does it align? Are there any common themes you're noticing? And then just taking that time and space to do that. Okay, we are going to move into an activity that some people may have done before. I know when I did this activity, I had never done it before, so it was pretty fun. And the activity is just a paperclip activity. So again, all you need is your notebook or a sheet of paper, a writing utensil. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I will time this to be exact. So what I'd like for you to do is think about that paperclip that you can see on the screen there, and think about all of the uses that you can use a paperclip for. Go for as many ideas as possible. So don't limit yourself. Try to really be very broad in your thinking. How creative can you be? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. Feel free, if you'd like to take yourself off video, completely fine. You can absolutely keep yourself on video. But I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 minutes starting right now and just think about as many things you can use a paperclip for. And go. We have 1 minute left, so keep going. Okay, 15 seconds. See if you can get at least one more idea. Okay, and time. Okay, let's see in the chat. Let's go ahead and have everyone just tell me how many ideas you got. So just write in the chat for everyone to see how many ideas. Fantastic. Good. Wow, I see some 15, 11, 6, 7. Fantastic. Great. Okay. All right. How did that feel? Anyone want to reflect on how that felt as you started to move into this activity? Like, well, you had 2 minutes to think of activities. Some of you got 15, or maybe there was one a little bit above that. Some people had 6, 7, 8. Anybody want to share how that felt to go through that activity? If not, that's okay. I know it's hard. You could raise your virtual hand, your virtual Zoom hand, or just take yourself off mute. Well, that's okay. We're going to pause here and move forward, and I will bring us back to share how it feels in just a moment, because I'm going to introduce you. This is a great time. So I want to think about how you just try to reflect on how you felt and keep that fresh. And let's move forward and talk a little bit about some of the design thinking principles that using this exercise will help to bring up. So I want to introduce you to schema theory and radical collaboration. So schemas are where your mind has mental frameworks that help to organize information. So for example, some of you may have thought, oh, if I want to use a paper clip to clip paper together, perhaps another use might be, well, maybe I can clip something else together. Maybe I can clip some fabrics together. Maybe I can clip ribbons together. So it's all about using schemas to organize the information and then continue to broaden it. It really helps to save that cognitive energy. We have so much information coming at us all day long. Our brains are constantly doing this. So when you apply it to really generating ideas, it allows you to be a little bit more efficient and thoughtful about how you might come up with some new ideas. So I wanted to introduce you to that theory. Another way that you might think about getting some new ideas is radical collaboration. And I don't know if any of you have had experiences at work or even in your day-to-day life where you bring together individuals. Often, sometimes they may have diverse perspectives. And this helps you to think about things that you may never have thought about. So if you talk to someone else who had something on their list and just said, oh my gosh, I never thought about straightening the paper clip out and using it as a tool. So that's a whole, and then you could think about a whole new group of schemas. So these are just two design principles that I like for people to think about as they consider how to continue forward and generate some new ideas. So we are going to give you another shot. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I wanted to introduce you to this principle as well. So divergent to convergent thinking. So when we are thinking about new ideas and thinking about different ways to do things and really being creative in designing your life, designing your career, it's important to stay in that divergent thinking as much as possible when you are thinking about new ideas. You're really opening it up to creating choices. So at this point, when you have that divergent thinking, You don't want to edit. You don't want to filter out. If you noticed, if you were making a list, perhaps you had just a moment of an idea of something, but you may have quickly filtered it out like, oh no, that wouldn't. Oh, I tried that once, it didn't work so well. Divergent thinking would tell you just put everything on the list. Don't edit yourself. You want to, when you're in this space, really open it up. And if you're in a group, if you've ever been in a brainstorming session, you would be open to ideas. You don't want people to say, oh no, that wouldn't work, or shut it down. Because what does that do in a group? It often then people don't want to share. People might not, even though they're thinking of something, they may not say it. So then it limits the group creativity. But even when you apply it just to yourself, if you start editing yourself, you might lose out on some ideas that could eventually turn into something, even if at one point they seem unrealistic. So that divergent thinking really opens your mind up. Eventually, you are going to go to the convergent thinking, and that's where you're going to make the choices. So if you had to come up with 25 ideas of how to use a paperclip, but you could only choose one, you may then make that choice. So you're going to make some choices and go through that convergent process. So this is a key principle in design thinking, and later on in part 2, as we move forward in design thinking and design your career, this is really important as you consider, where do I want to go? What are potential pathways? What are ways that I can maybe do this work? So we are going to give you another shot at the paperclip activity. So round 2, it's still going to be 2 minutes. Start a new list and go for as many ideas as possible. So I'm going to reset the timer using some of those ideas that we've just introduced you to. Go ahead and start your list. You have 2 minutes. One minute to go. Keep going with your ideas. Ten seconds. And time. Okay. I'd love to see in the chat if everyone can go ahead and count up how many ideas you had for round 2. And when you're ready, go ahead and put in the chat. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of higher numbers, 18, 14, 6 new ideas. Great. Yeah, so it seems like everyone was able to expand and get some new ideas. And so it seems like a simple exercise. It's a paperclip, but I bet we all have at least one new way that we might use a paperclip. I'd love to hear, and again, I'm going to call on people, and I invite you to say pass if you're just not feeling like sharing, but I would love to hear 1 to 2 uses that you came up with that you were surprised that you thought, gosh, I never would have thought of that a half an hour ago. So let's go ahead and just, let's see, Sheila Wada, would you be able to share with us 1 or 2 ideas you came up with? And are you able to, I know I can't hear you, are you able to share, or you could say pass?
I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I said earrings and like a necklace or a bracelet.
Oh, fantastic. Were those connected in the schema? They seem similar with the jewelry.
Yes.
Fantastic. Did you have that on your first list as well, or that was just a second round?
That was the first list.
Thank you. What did you, what pieces did you use to generate more ideas, or did you generate more ideas for the second list?
Yeah, the second list was harder, but I kind of like said belt, sort of to like just continue kind of on that same strategy.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Sheila.
Sure.
Okay. Michelle Roz, would you be open to sharing?
Sure. One, I said using it to make a bracelet to fashion many together. And another is to use the tip to get the SIM card out of a cell phone, which is what I do.
Very clever. Thank you for sharing. Any ways that you help to kind of broaden your way of thinking in the second round?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Michelle. I appreciate it. Okay, so hopefully you just gave you a practical way to really see when you put some of these theories together, how it can help you. All right, so actually we're going to pair and share, but we kind of already did. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to keep moving just because I'm also looking at the time. So we're going to keep moving forward. Debrief and takeaways. So we talked a little bit about this. So yes, we were talking about a paperclip, but I really want you to think about other ways that you might be able to apply this to both life and career. So when you change your environment, when you change different factors, it allows allows an increased ability and flexibility to think about different schemas, different ways that things may connect for you. And when we are feeling stuck, examine your assumptions, adopt some different ways of thinking, adopt different schemas, and then practice divergent thinking. Really allow your mind to step aside from the filtering, from the editing, and telling yourself that's not going to work, that's not a good idea, I already tried that, that's not going to happen. Just really allow yourself to be creative and thoughtful as you think about different opportunities and ways to move forward, whether it's something in your life or your career. That's just a key principle. So I've introduced you to a couple of these, but this is really the design thinking process. In life design, they've added that first step, the accept and empathize. But really, when you think about design thinking, it starts to be define, ideate, prototype, and then test. And you can try this in a lot of different areas in your life. I encourage you to just tomorrow or later tonight, just try to think about different ways. In part 2 of our Design Your Life session, we will spend more time in the prototype and testing. Today, we're really talking about ideating and defining ideas and solutions or problems. Okay. Our final activity tonight, what we're going to spend some time in, is our energy and engagement map worksheet. So you do not need this printout, though you can see that if you just Googled Design Your Life, Energy Engagement Map Worksheet, this would come up for you. So I just wanted to provide it here. And for the purposes of today, what I'd love for everyone to do is just simply jot out that chart right there. So just something that looks like this, if you can see. And just go ahead and put that on your sheet of paper. Before we start moving in, I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to use this graph. You can see the green plus sign at the top and the red negative sign on the bottom. So that blue line, the horizontal line going across, is kind of like your baseline. And I want you, the activity that we're going to do is thinking about your regular activities. So on the left side, you can see that list of 10. So you can start by just listing activities, and we're going to use for the purposes of this exercise, think about a typical week for yourself. And I want you to also think about not just work if you're working, but also personal life. So the things in your life that are giving you energy and draining your energy. But before you even go to start mapping the energy, things that are giving you energy and the things that are taking away, just make that list of the different things that you do week to week. So maybe it might incorporate things like doing laundry or cooking dinner. It might be administrative work that you have at work. It might be a specific function that you do. Maybe it's meetings. Maybe it's driving. So just go ahead and make a list of about 10 activities. Think about those activities that you do pretty regularly each week. And so I'll give you some time to do that now. So let's take 1 minute to go ahead and write that list of 10. So I'll go ahead and time that now. Just about 10 more seconds. So try to get at least 10 activities that you have each week. Okay, and time. So what I'd like for you to do now is in that list of the 10, go ahead and write if that activity gives you energy, and just write a plus sign if it does. And if it drains you, give a negative sign. So just take about 30 seconds and go through each of those activities and just probably gut instinct. Is this activity giving you energy or is it draining you of energy? Plus or minus. Okay. So now that you've done that, what I'd like for you to do is start to move over to the graph. And I don't know if everyone would be able to see this, but I'll show you. I just went ahead and started to do it. So the activities that give you energy are going to have a graph going up above the line toward the plus, and the activities that drain you of energy are going to go ahead and be on the bottom. Now, some might be somewhat neutral, but maybe gives you just a little bit of energy. I did not do a very good job. I guess I could draw one more. So if something really drains me of energy, it might be a longer line down, or if it really gives you a lot of energy, draw a longer line up. So try to be thoughtful, because you probably have a few plus signs and a few minus signs, but really think about what are those activities that are really giving you a lot of energy that you're excited about, you love doing, you like having it on your calendar. What are the things that drain you? So go ahead and I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to do this activity, and just reflecting as you go. And I like that you're actually going ahead and writing this. So I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 minutes, and then we are going to move in breakout rooms in just a bit, so everyone will have a chance to discuss this with a group. So just go ahead and list out your energy engagement map. In just about 15 more seconds, just finish up wherever you are. Okay, and time. So I realize that we are starting to get close to 7:15. I had a feeling this would move pretty quickly, but I do want to give you the opportunity to move into breakout rooms because I think it's really nice to be able to connect with other people and hear a little bit more as to what other people are, what's giving other people energy, and also be able to reflect on what you wrote. So Melanie, if you are okay with moving everyone into breakout rooms, we will move fairly quickly. You will have somewhere between one other partner or maybe up to two, maybe three. So just try to be thoughtful about giving everyone some time. We'll do about 4 minutes in the room. So if you have just one other partner, each of you will have 2 minutes. If you have more than one partner, just try to divide evenly, and we'll bring people back. So we'll go ahead and move into breakout rooms, and then we'll come back to debrief on this activity.
Okay, all rooms are open, and everybody should be able to jump into their rooms right now, all right?
Yeah, we'll see you back here in 4 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you for taking some time to connect with each other. I am looking at the time and I realize we're just past 7:15. So understanding that if you did only block out to 7:15, I know life calls sometimes. If you do have to drop off, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions, but I do want to debrief on this activity for those of you who are able to stay on for a few more minutes. Before we do that, in case people do have to drop off, Melanie, I know you wanted to share just a few announcements. Would you like to do that now?
Oh, you please go right ahead, Sarah. You finish up, and I can use that at the tail end. No worries. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Okay. So in the interest of time, normally I would ask people to share and we would share as a group, but I do just want to share a few tips and tricks as you think about, okay, gosh, maybe you notice there are some things that are in your weekly pretty regular schedule, whether it's work or life, that are draining you. And it might be surprising or you might not be that surprised. And conversely, you might have noticed there are some things that really are giving you energy that you're really enjoying. And even if it's personal, sometimes it's nice to take notice of those things that, gosh, if I enjoy doing this personally, is there a way to incorporate that into my career? So I want to just highlight a few incremental changes that people can make, or maybe you think about just one of these, and in the spirit of thinking about the design thinking principles. So changing your location or tools. So let's just say that maybe there's some administrative work that you have to do and you dread it. Well, could you do it in a coffee shop? If you like going to coffee shops and that's something that gives you energy, could you do some of the administrative work at a coffee shop for a half an hour or an hour each week? Could you change a tool? Maybe it's draining energy because the process is not working for you. Is there some technology or a different tool that you can use? Maybe you enjoy writing instead of being on a computer. Could you do some of that in a different way? Change the people. We're all affected by everyone's energy. So, and we all know there are some people that give us energy and some people that drain us of energy, and that's just the way the world works. Could you change people of how you divide up activities? Maybe you enjoy doing an activity with another person, but you're noticing that you tend to do it on your own. Is there a way to insert more collaboration or just even working side by side and being able to bounce some ideas off of someone? So consider changing how people, either adding or changing people to different activities. You can combine activities. So I'll give you an example that someone gave me when they went through this activity. They really found that they were getting a lot of energy when they did yoga, and they really enjoyed connecting with others at the same time. So they figured, gosh, is there a way for me to combine that? Could I bring a couple friends to a yoga class that I like? And you're getting that social interaction while you're also doing that exercise and bringing those activities together. We don't all, unfortunately, probably have tons of extra free time. So how can you increase your energy in your free time? Time boxing. So really allowing your calendar, you to manage your calendar and not the other way around. So if you know there's some activities that take a lot of energy out, but if you do those first thing in the morning, if your energy is highest, then get them out of the way. Maybe they don't need to take a full hour. Maybe you can knock it out in a half an hour because your energy is higher. The last thing I'll say is reframing. So can you change the way you see the situation from a different perspective? It's a powerful design tool. Changing the way you look at something, maybe the impact of it, maybe it's something that drains you, but you notice how happy it makes someone else. Is there a way to reframe how you're seeing that activity? So those are just some suggestions. We are going to pause there because these are some of the activities that I wanted to introduce you to for part one. So I know it was a quick workshop. I invite you to attend part two to continue forward in the prototyping and testing, which is really where you put a lot of ideas to work and see how they actually move forward for you. And really some thoughts around how to do that, making sure that you're not limiting yourself as you prototype and test. So I hope this was helpful for all of you. I will stay on for a few more minutes for any questions that people may have, but Melanie, I'll turn it over to you to wrap us up for today.
Wonderful. I just wanted to say a quick thank you, Sarah. This has been fantastic. As I told you during the breakouts, I know about this topic, but I've never gone through the workshop, and I'm that much more excited about doing part two. So thank you very much. I did want to do a couple quick reminders. I'm going to stop the